Terima kasih kerana kembali bersama kami dalam We Hear You. Dan untuk episod kali ini, kita akan bawakan seorang lagi tokoh perniagaan yang menceburkan diri dalam bidang perniagaan yang unik, yang jarang kita dengar. Kita sering kali bercakap tentang perniagaan berasaskan makanan. Kita pernah bawakan tetamu yang berkonsepkan makanan kesihatan. Ada yang menceburkan diri dalam bidang makanan yang mana dibawakan kepada khalayak menerusi pelbagai jenis franchise. Tapi kali ini kita ingin bertumpu kepada perniagaan berbentuk kepakaran dan perkhidmatan. Kepakaran yang ditawarkan adalah dalam bidang OSH ataupun OSH, Occupational Safety and Health. Ini mungkin kita pernah dengar istilahnya, tapi kita tidak tahu ada entiti-entiti perniagaan yang bertungkus lumus di sebalik istilah ini untuk memastikan kesihatan pekerja, untuk memastikan produktiviti pekerja dan membantu perniagaan-perniagaan di luar sana dan juga korporat-korporat untuk memastikan kesihatan pekerja mereka. Untuk itu kita bersama dengan Dr. Sabaria Said, CEO Berkat OSH Sendirian Berhad, OSH Services Sendirian Berhad. Terima kasih kerana sudi bersama kami, Doktor. Kita ingin perkenalkan sedikit Berkat OSH Services. Apakah sebenarnya konsep di sebalik perniagaan, Doktor? Silakan.
Terima kasih, Terence. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terence introduce one. I'm Dr. Sabaria, founder and CEO for Berkat OSH Services. Berkat OSH Services, nama pun OSH kan. So basically apa yang kami buat adalah kami take care of worker daripada hari dia masuk bekerja sampailah from employment to retirement sehingga pekerja tu retire ataupun pencen lah ataupun kalau tak pencen mungkin berhenti ya. Jadi basically kesihatan pekerjaan, nampung kesihatan pekerjaan. Kesihatan pekerjaan ni about workers lah kerja. So bila mula-mula dari pekerja tu mula-mula masuk kerja, so kita pastikan dia fit to work and the work fit the worker. Kadang-kadang dia tak sesuai untuk kerja tu ataupun kerja tu tak sesuai untuk dia. Kebanyakan OSH ni is compliance. So kita banyak comply pada syarat-syarat yang ditentukan oleh Akta Kesihatan Pekerjaan under OSHA 94, Occupational Safety Health Act. Jadi majikan adalah tertakluk kepada akta OSHA ni. Apart from akta pekerja lah tapi ni kepada compliance. So compliance ni lebih kepada pekerja-pekerja yang terlibat pada pekerjaan berisiko tinggi. Contohnya pekerjaan-pekerja dalam confined space, pekerja di tempat tinggi, bekerja di bahagian-bahagian yang berisiko lah. Okay. So Berkat OSH menyediakan servis perkhidmatan kepada majikan dan juga pekerja. So kita ni orang tengah lah kita very balance kepada pekerja dan juga majikan. So bila pekerja ni bekerja dan terdedah kepada hazards tertentu, contohnya terdedah pada gas yang berbahaya, chemical yang bahaya, mercury ke plumbum lead. Okay. So bila terdedah kita perlu tengok apakah kesan impact pada kesihatan pada pekerja tu, dan kita akan melakukan ujian-ujian bersesuaian lah memastikan pekerja tu tetap sihat. Selain daripada itu, kita juga cakap kenapa majikan perlu ambil berat tentang kesihatan pekerja. Sebab kita cakap pasal productivity productivity syarikat. So in order to maintain the productivity or improve the productivity, you want to have healthy workers. Pekerja yang sihat. Bila pekerja sihat, productivity meningkat, dan bila productivity meningkat, profitability juga meningkat. Jadi in nutshell itulah yang Berkat OSH buat. Kita jaga kesihatan pekerja dari end to end.
Rangkuman keupayaan seseorang majikan itu untuk menjaga kesihatan pekerja masing-masing mungkin tertakluk kepada pelbagai akta dan Berkat OSH juga membantu majikan untuk memahami akta tersebut dan kandungannya bagi memastikan kesihatan para pekerja. Tapi kenapa majikan perlu ambil berat? Apakah statistik produktiviti di Malaysia dari segi tata kerja seorang pekerja yang masuk bekerja sepanjang tahun?
Okay, latest study I think about 2 years back, UKM dengan Vitality yang saya boleh extract unproductive days. Dia tak cakap productive. Unproductive days for Malaysian worker is about 73 unproductive days per worker per year untuk setiap tahun. Jadi bila kita cakap unproductive ni, maknanya pekerja tu mungkin sakit. Itu absenteeism. Absenteeism taklah ni sangat, lebih kurang 7 hari. presentism yang tinggi sebenarnya. Mereka hadir bekerja tetapi tidak melakukan kerja yang mereka diberi. I mean, you hire a person untuk buat kerja A tetapi disebabkan dia sakit, so dia mungkin tak boleh deliver apa yang sepatutnya. Itu presentism. Dia hadir tapi tak. Dan bila dia hadir, dia tak buat kerja yang dia patut buat, dia akan mengakibatkan orang lain. Contohnya kawan dia punya colleagues akan buat double work lah. Dan dia itu maksudnya unproductive. So present but not doing. So basically apa kami buat kalau seorang pekerja tu injured, mengalami kesakitan, illness ataupun injury, especially tak kira lah di tempat kerja ke di luar tempat kerja. So kita sebenarnya kalau kita follow up dengan baik daripada awal-awal dia kena injury tu, so if you do proper follow up, kita boleh shorten, kita boleh bukan shorten lah, kita boleh elakkan daripada hari-hari yang tak sepatutnya dia bercuti. The concept of what we call return to work, ada konsep nama fit to work, konsep kedua adalah konsep return to work post injury or post illness. So bila dia dah mengalami kesakitan atau kecederaan, lagi cepat dia datang kerja, lagi bagus sebenarnya. Lagi lama kita biarkan dia tak datang kerja, sebenarnya dia punya chances untuk dia balik kerja tu lagi rendah. So kita nak, jadi apa yang kita perlu buat, apa majikan perlu buat sebenarnya? Majikan pun kadang-kadang stuck, tak pasti nak buat macam mana bila pekerja sakit. So satu, majikan ni sebab dia nak call pun dia rasa benda tu very confidential, nak tanya sakit apa kan. Jadi kena anggap kami adalah OSHA ni, OSH ni sebenarnya Occupational Health atau Corporate Health, kami adalah ibarat Jabatan Kesihatan. It was like a health department of any corporate organisation. You are the finance department, so now we have the health department yang look into all this to ensure pekerja tu sihat, boleh bekerja dengan baik, early return to work, inclusivity and sustainability.
Jadi kita boleh membayangkan 73 hari itu tidak termasuk hari cuti biasa. Jadi 73 hari itu lebih kurang 20% daripada setiap tahun atau 2 bulan. Di mana para pekerja tidak produktif, dan ini adalah satu angka yang saya rasa membimbangkan lah kalau anda merupakan majikan. Jadi bagaimana pihak berkat OSH Services membantu majikan-majikan untuk mengurangkan jumlah hari tidak produktif ni?
Berkat OSH, di antara our specialization is to do return to work, return to work post illness, post injury. So biasanya apa kami buat, berkat OSH ada beberapa klinik kami ada klinik dekat KL ni, kami ada 3 klinik under Berkat klinik lah, Berkat Central, Berkat Ampang, Berkat City, Kemaman dan juga di Melaka. So apa kami buat is actually biasanya majikan akan hantar kepada kami, the earlier dia hantar, dari awal dia hantar lagi bagus lah sebenarnya. So kami what we do, sebab kami juga ada rehab Berkat Rehab Center, Industrial Rehab Center. So kita buat assessment, objective assessment. So kita boleh tahu apa dia punya impairment, apa kekurangan dia, berapa persen dia punya improvement, sampailah ke boleh achieve maximum medical improvement kita panggil. So bila dah maximum tu maknanya itulah yang dia boleh. So kita kadang-kadang kita dalam dilema dah boleh balik masuk kerja ke tak ke. Jadi kita perlu some kind of assessment especially if objective assessment, kita boleh nampak improvement, berapa persen dia improve, berapa persen dia improve. Datang mungkin minggu ke-4 macam ni, minggu ke-8 you can see the improvement. Lepas minggu ke-10 tak improve dah, dan kita tahu dah that's maximum improvement. So kita boleh adjust, kita tak adjust sebenarnya. So kita bincang dengan majikan, inilah dia punya kebolehan yang dia boleh buat. So kita pada what we call phase return to work. Dia tak terus buat kerja dia. Mungkin kita kena tengok apa yang sesuai untuk dia lah. So di antara, sebab saya boleh ambil contoh lah pekerja. Contohnya saya ada satu kes ni, patient ni dia terlanggar meja. Langgar meja dia sebenarnya dia affect dia punya tendon dekat kaki Achilles tendon dia. Dan disebabkan tu dia pergi jumpa doktor. Lepas tu dia bercuti lama lama, tak ada follow up dari pihak majikan. Mungkin nak approach pun tak boleh nak approach, as I mentioned, confidential. So lepas tu sampai dia punya kaki sebelah tu jadi kecil lah, atrophy sikit. Sebab bila kita tak guna muscle kita ni, dia akan atrophy. So dah tak balance. So very young, patient, so kita pun rasa macam sepatutnya benda tu tak berlaku. Kita boleh elakkan contohnya. Jadi sebenarnya kalau kita strengthen bab return to work ni, saya yakin insya-Allah kita boleh bawa pekerja balik kerja awal. Jadi in order to do that, dia pun ada banyak pihak yang terlibat lah. Majikan terlibat. Lagi satu, siapa kita nak hantar? Kita nak hantar ke mana? Jadi doktor-doktor ni perlu dilatih, perlu ditrain untuk dia boleh buat return to work dengan baik supaya apa yang doktor tu tulis, report tu lah actionable. Okay? Jadi kita nak apa yang doktor tulis, action. Kita ambil action on the report. Kalau setakat dia boleh report, kita tak boleh action, setakat unfit. Unfit, biasanya bila dia ada fit or unfit to work, so majikan selalunya akan hantar pada doktor akan tengok, doktor kata unfit, fit or unfit. Kalau dia kata unfit, what next? Adakah majikan nak berhentikan dia? Adakah majikan nak cari kerja lain untuk dia? So this is something yang perlu ada perbincangan antara doktor, line manager, majikan dan pekerja tu sendiri. So itu di antara servis yang Berkat Osh buat, dan then we go afterwards to umbrella program, how kita nak train other people supaya boleh, ada doctors especially OH entrepreneur lah kan, untuk sama-sama ada knowledge bagaimana nak buat.
Wow, bidang ini sangat luas. Saya boleh bayangkan bahawa syarikat doktor bekerja dengan pelbagai jenis perniagaan dan perkhidmatan. Terutama sekali mungkin syarikat yang bekerja dalam bidang jaring minyak ataupun pelantar, dan juga mungkin airport services untuk menjaga kesihatan pekerja yang bekerja di tarmac, dan juga mungkin pekerjaan biasa sekalipun, seperti contoh doktor tadi telanggar meja je.
Betul.
Dah jadi sampai macam tu sekali kan. Jadi apa-apa pun boleh berlaku di tempat kerja, dan kita tidak boleh menjangka, tapi kita boleh bersiap sedia untuk menghadapinya. Namun bidang ini sangat luas, tapi sangat khusus. Kenapa doktor pilih untuk memulakan satu entiti perniagaan dalam bidang OSH?
Saya suka apa yang saya buat. I'm very passionate what I'm doing. Sebab saya rasa banyak benda yang kita belum buat lagi, yang kita boleh buat, and impact dia besar. Mungkin kita buat sikit, tapi saya rasa impact dia sangat besar pada pekerja tu sendiri, pada syarikat. Sebab kebanyakan kita ni, kita spend a lot of our time dekat tempat kerja kan. Number one. Number two, kesihatan pekerja memang pun majikan dah bayar sebenarnya. Kita tengok insurans semua, majikan memang bayar. Jadi kalau kita expand lagi sikit on that, kita jaga dia dengan lebih, sebenarnya kita boleh improve productivity. So saya kata kita buat tak banyak, but impact dia sangat besar pada pekerja tu sendiri, pada majikan, and to our country lah, basically to the nation kan. So itu yang saya rasa banyak bidang OSH ni, occupational health, corporate health, banyak yang kita boleh bantu sebenarnya pekerja kita dekat Malaysia. Dan in fact saya punya klien ni not only Malaysian lah, luar juga. Saya mula dengan memang banyak saya belajar daripada oil and gas lah. Banyak. In fact sekarang bos juga menyediakan perkhidmatan medical evacuation untuk we call remote medical services lah. So kami ada pekerja di pelantar minyak yang jaga lebih kurang berapa orang, 60-100 worker dekat sana. If any emergency, saya ada call center. Call center dekat KL ni, so doktor kami bertugas 24 hours. 365 sentiasa ada doktor dekat sana, so dia akan communicate through telemedicine. So that's innovation and technology, membantu doktor kita untuk buat decision, sama ada nak emergency, nak bawa keluar sekarang ke, nak boleh tunggu ke. If there's any emergency, so kita akan advise untuk sakit ni dibawa keluar daripada offshore untuk bawa ke hospital dekat Shore Hospital. So kami uruskan dia punya tu, dan juga kami contact hospital. We are sending someone with heart problem contohnya, untuk dia prepare. So bila smooth flow lah, smooth operation. So daripada offshore pakai chopper bawa ke hospital, and then dia tak berhenti setakat situ. Bila pekerja tu dah masuk hospital, dah keluar, kami akan follow up. Dan kita suruh dia buat return to work untuk memastikan bila dia bekerja dekat tempat yang high risk area ni, dia sihat, dan bukan dia sahaja, dia tak menyebabkan kawan-kawan dia juga safety sebab kerana high risk area ni kita safety very important. Kita tak naklah kalau dia jatuh, bukan dia je, mungkin akan melibatkan kawan sekerja. So kat situlah banyak OSH memainkan peranan pada pekerja, pada majikan, Dan saya rasa apa yang kami buat impact dia besar. Jadi saya rasa sebab tu saya sangat minat dalam bidang ni.
Namun begitu, walaupun bidang ini mencabar dan mempunyai peluang, namun bukan mudah untuk menceburkan diri dalam bidang ini. Apakah keperluan dan kepakaran yang perlu ada sekiranya seseorang ingin menjadi entrepreneur ataupun seorang ahli perniagaan dalam bidang OSH?
For occupational health, high barrier of entry because it's a regulated field. Semuanya adalah under compliance. So number one, first and foremost is knowledge lah. Saya rasa as a doctor, apa yang kami nasihatkan tu must have basis. Usually macam tim saya, sebab kita juga expose pada medical legal. Jadi make sure bila advice yang kita bagi tu kita akan based on guideline. Kita ada CPG, Clinical Practice Guideline. So doktor-doktor saya, we are trained to do that. Make sure apa yang kami buat tu adalah based on guideline. Tak boleh buat suka hati lah basically. So when we decide, bila kita nak decide untuk buat decision A or decision B or decision C, whatever decision that we make, mesti berasaskan guideline. Knowledge kena ada. Continuous medical education. Kena continue and tahu apa ubat yang the latest, apa management yang the latest management. Kena tahu apa yang berlaku pandemik, contohnya COVID-19. So everyone mesti aware. Tahu baru-baru ni influenza. So kena tahu apa management yang kita boleh buat. Macam mana kita nak contain supaya tak merebak satu kawasan. Satu population yang dijaga tu, kena jaga. So knowledge number one. Number two is integrity. So kita tak boleh share rahsia-rahsia ni, semua rahsia kita punya klien. So kita tak boleh share lah apa yang berlaku pada orang lain. Integrity very important. And also kita kena ada empathy lah. Bila kita take care of health of a worker, it's not just the worker, tapi juga dia punya ahli keluarga dia, dia punya klik, rakan sejawat dia. So ni semua di antara faktor yang saya rasa memainkan peranan sangat penting masa kita deliver kita punya service pada kita punya klien. And trust ni is not something yang you get result sales lah. Bila kita boleh bagi result yang bagus, masa menyebabkan people trust us and people come back to us for our service.
Jadi kepelbagaian dalam keperluan itu suatu yang doktor sendiri alami dari masa ke masa akan berubah. Do you feel that today the standards for OSH are much higher dan keperluan dan piawaian yang perlu diikuti oleh setiap majikan semakin mencabar?
Ya, betul. Sebab we keep improving lah. I would say OSHA keep improving. Baru-baru ni kita baru keluarkan new guideline on noise. Jadi sentiasa ada improvement on chemical. Improve bagus sebab kita nak pastikan pekerja-pekerja ni yang terdedah kepada sebarang hazards, kita kena jaga dia. Dan memang pemajikan bertanggungjawab dan pekerja pun ada tanggungjawab juga. Sebenarnya bukan majikan aja, dua-dua belah pihak. Jadi bila kita dapat dua-dua belah pihak ni, kita perlu juga siapa yang kita nak refer. Majikan bila ada new regulation, majikan kena pergi nak tanya siapa yang boleh tolong, boleh bantu mereka. Kat situlah kami ada, berkat OSH services, kita banyak, kita one of the medical service provider in corporate health, occupational health, HSC and environment as well, and hygiene. So kami provide that service untuk bantu majikan to comply to this regulation. Kami juga partner with Selangor Invest for soft landing. So untuk syarikat-syarikat yang baru datang ke Malaysia, mereka tak pasti nak buat macam mana, to comply. Kalau tak comply, tak boleh buka kilang. Okay, so we provide that kind of services as well to our client. So klien kita memang we started with oil and gas, but now kami juga berada di provide service to manufacturing. Contohnya kami berada di Kulim High Tech Park. So manufacturing kat sana. So of course benda-benda ni semua kami juga kena catch up dengan teknologi. So that's why telemedicine play important role. Not only, kita selalu ingat telemedicine ni untuk remote area, but actually untuk chronic illness sangat bagus. Follow up sekarang, contohnya mereka follow up dengan hospital mungkin 6 bulan. So kita boleh kurangkan dengan adanya telemedicine. And also in terms of geography. So contohnya Terence kat sini hari ni, waktu follow up bulan depan, you dah pergi somewhere, kata lagi pergi dekat Jakarta. So you nak follow up dengan doktor, you miss your follow up. Tapi dengan adanya telemedicine, actually you can still ada follow up dengan your doktor. So kita control sebelum dia dapat komplikasi.
Kebanyakan pekerjaan yang doktor mungkin bantu adalah pekerjaan dalam 3D, dangerous, difficult, sometimes dirty. Jadi mungkin ini adalah satu safety net untuk mereka, dan kepada yang rasa pekerjaan-pekerjaan ini mencabar, ada satu akta yang membolehkan anda bekerja dengan lebih selamat, dan majikan-majikan anda terpaksa juga ikut semua piawaian dalam akta ini. Jadi seperlunya kita di Malaysia ni sangat bersyukur kan keberadaan akta sebegini, dan adanya entiti perniagaan seperti Berkat Osh Services yang membantu untuk majikan-majikan memahami kandungan akta itu. Kita akan berehat seketika, dan sekembali nanti doktor, kita akan ketahui tentang bagaimana doktor memulakan perniagaan. Bukannya mudah untuk mendapat funding, bukannya mudah untuk doktor mencorak macam mana sistem dan sebagainya. Kita akan ketahui sebentar lagi. Jangan ke mana-mana, terus setia bersama kami. We Hear You kembali selepas ini. Baik, kembali bersama Dr. Sabaria dalam We Hear You, dan kita sedang bercakap tentang satu industri yang mungkin jarang kita dengar sebenarnya, industri OSH ataupun Occupational Safety and Health. Sebagai CEO Berkat OSH Services, doktor, mungkin kita boleh dapatkan perincian tentang bagaimana doktor memulakan perniagaan ini, kerana ia adalah perniagaan yang memang jarang kita dengar, satu, tapi dua juga mempunyai piawaian untuk masuk barrier to entry yang agak tinggi. Silakan doktor.
Thank you, Terence. I started this business I think about around 25 years ago.
Wow.
So of course masa mula-mula tu slow lah kan. We go organically, I would say. Organic growth for Berkat. Saya because banyak dalam bidang oil and gas, so it involve tiga alam lah. Alam dalam laut, underwater, alam darat dan juga alam udara, because I'm also an aviation and also diving doctor. So kenapa saya go into all this, because I need to understand apa sebenarnya dia orang punya alam dia orang ni. Mereka bekerja underwater. Hyperbaric medicine and underwater medicine is something different. So saya pun pergi saya punya training in diving medicine, so that saya understand apa sebenarnya dia orang punya challenge. Mula-mula saya dive, saya pun takut jugalah. Saya tunjukkan instructor nak naik atas. So instructor pusing masa tu saya nampak penyu semua. Okay lah. So because it's a different environment. Totally different environment. But saya kena understand, bila worker datang kat saya, bila saya faham, it makes a lot of difference. Kita tak faham kan. So alam darat ni biasalah kan. Lagi satu alam udara, aviation. I'm also an aviation doctor. I learn all this supaya saya faham sebenarnya. So bila saya faham tu, as I mentioned earlier, number one, knowledge. I believe in kita buat apa-apa, kita kena ada knowledge lah. So saya ada beberapa klinik. Apart from that, I am also health advisor. And in my team, I have about 26 doctors. Berkat ada lebih kurang 26 doctors, and a lot of our doctors are trained in this various field, supaya mereka juga faham apa masalah pekerja-pekerja ni. So bila kita faham masalah dia, kita boleh bantu mereka better lah, I believe. So mula-mula of course we have several clinics. Lepas tu kami go into corporate. Berkat OSH is a corporate organisation. So of course bila kami Berkat OSH ni more of a contract services. So we get our contract from our clients, and we have to fulfill the corporate governance, things like that. So in order to fulfill such requirement, we have to grow. We also need funding, of course, because we are growing, and we need to hire good people, professional, in the field of finance, in the field of human capital, apart from our own operations. Operations mostly done by our clinical teams, but the others, marketing, all this, we need professional to assist us to where we are today. So of course funding is one of the important component in our business expansion.
Maybe now at this level, funding, I think you're being offered funding. But when you started 20 years ago, what was it like to approach banks or financial institutions to get them to buy in to the idea of a business in this very niche field of OSH?
The potential is good in OSH. The challenge is to make people understand what we do. Sometimes I guess I need too technical kot. Bila explain kadang tak faham. Apa benda doktor ni cakap ni? Very technical kan. Tapi as we grow, I think that's why I need to have other professionals to assist. I'm not alone. If I am alone, I will not be able to be here today. I'm supported by good team. My team is very good, and they are non-medical. I have medical team, but I also have my non-medical team who I am very thankful to them because we are here today because of this collaboration and working together. Tak boleh buat seorang-seorang kan. Kalau setakat klinik satu, maybe I can do it alone by myself. But to grow until what we are today, definitely it is by the support of my team. So,
And what about the funding? How did you start with getting funds for the business?
Started, of course, your own fund lah kan. Okay. My other half, my husband helped me initially in the business, and then I started going to the bank to get this assistance. Kalau asset tu is, I would say not that difficult. Asset is, you say you want to buy this machine, that machine, you want to buy ambulance, for example. We have 4 ambulances. And by ambulance is not that difficult lah. Asset biasanya not that difficult. But working capital is something not easy. But you have to prove to them that you are able to do it. And end of the day is about the numbers. What you produce to them and how you ensure that the company is profitable and able to pay them back. Usually those are the things that they will be looking at. And yeah.
You have a special status as one of SME's anchors in terms of funding. I'm sure that the assistance offered by SME Bank has certainly helped. Can you talk to us about the status that your company has with SME Bank?
We are the anchor we had an umbrella program by SME. So we are the anchor company. So what we do is actually to create more entrepreneur in the field of occupational health. So we create more. As I mentioned earlier, occupational health is an act. So in order to execute whatever is developed in terms of regulation, of course they need service providers. And they need good service providers. So what we can do is actually to create more occupational health entrepreneurs, especially doctors. If they want to develop, we want to build occupational health clinics, we are here because of the umbrella program. Okay, we wish to have more especially in industrial area. Industrial area banyak perlukan kami punya service lah. So we have the SOP, the governance especially, and to ensure that the business is sustainable. So that's the formula that we can share and develop together so that we can move align with the aspiration of DOSH, which is our country lah, basically. So we want to have that alignment. So we want to have more OH and corporate health providers. Now we talk about healthcare cost kan, it's rising kan.
Yes.
So what can we do? Because mostly workers kan, so most of us are working. So how can we help them in terms of chronic illness? Actually we have our role there to take care of the workers. Because if you follow up these workers regularly, I believe we can prevent them from developing complications. So kalau kita reduce complication, reduce lah healthcare cost. InsyaAllah, I think those are the things that can be done at primary level sebelum mereka masuk hospital. Kita tak nak masuk hospital, dah masuk hospital dah tak boleh buat apa kan. So sebelum tu, who take care of them? Panel clinic is one lah. But then occupational health ni dia lebih kepada membantu employer. Because if the instruction come from the employer, it will be very different. Kadang-kadang mereka pun, employee because at that is at individual level. If there is from the employer side, supporting whatever these people are doing. So employee akan comply.
So your model is something that a lot of OSH entrepreneurs would like to emulate dalam entity perniagaan ataupun empire perniagaan berkat OSH services. Apakah antara aset-aset yang wajib ada pada pandangan doktor untuk memulakan suatu perniagaan dan perkembangan jumlah bilangan aset yang kini di bawah berkat OSH services?
Okay, in terms of OSH ni dia punya practice satu yang I mentioned about the corporate, the other one is our clinic. This is to support berkat OSH. So to set up an OH clinic, you need to fulfill the requirement of OSH. OSHA requirement contohnya worker tu exposed to toxic gas ataupun going to confined area, so you need certain machines. So the difference between OSH clinic, OH clinic and also clinic GP panel yang lain is they have complete setup with complete machines to be able to fulfill the requirement by OSHA. So kena ada spirometry machine contohnya, audiometry untuk hearing, dia kena ada X-ray and other machines lah basically.
So these machines are the main requirement on your part.
In terms of asset, you mentioned about asset just now. Yes, on the doctor side, when a human, okay, the machine is one, but then the person, the one who runs the business, you must be knowledgeable and passionate of what you are doing, because I think we're dealing with workers. So we have to understand their punya limitations. How can we help them to bring them back to work soonest, that kind of thing.
So what is the next level after you have achieved a success for over 20 years?
About that.
20 years in the business. So what's the next level for Berkat OSH services? Where do you see the company growing into?
We want to complete our ecosystem. Okay, so ecosystem basically what we do is we have our clinics and we also have our rehabilitation. Again, I mentioned just now, our rehab, we use high-tech machine, high-tech equipment to assess the impairment. Okay, and objective assessment banyak membantu syarikat lah, so that you make a fair decision on the worker. You bukan agak-agak lah basically. So because of the numbers that we have, the objective assessment that actually help worker to satisfy with our decision, and majikan act based on the objective assessment by the doctors, by occupational health doctors. So
that's where you're going to grow into lah, that space.
We grow into that space, our clinic, and also now we are going to industry other than oil and gas. So for example, we are now in Kulim High Tech. So we plan to go to other industrial areas to provide the services so that they fulfill the gap. So that we assist employers in their management of the workers' health.
And there are many high-tech parks opening up in Malaysia. I mean, in Selangor, there's a few new ones. In Penang, we have the free trade zone. So there's a lot of potential.
Johor.
In Johor, yes.
We are inside Pengerang, Rapid Pengerang.
There you go.
So we have about 50 workers inside there. So it's not only about occupational health, it's also about emergency medicine. Especially when workers are exposed to any risk. Sometimes become an emergency that we have to bring the worker and get immediate help for the worker.
Dari segi mendapat bantuan untuk mengembangkan pasaran, sudah pasti doktor perlukan satu tim yang complete. Doktor bercakap tentang kepakaran perubatan. You have your doctors, you have your non-medical staff as well. You were mentioning the marketing team, for example. What else do you need to complete your ecosystem in terms of your talent on board?
Of course, we need funding. We need friendly banker, like SME Bank, of course, who can assist us. I mean, when you grow, you definitely need fund. You cannot grow. I mean, we have been growing organically, but you want to go to the next step. you want to jump faster, I think the fund play a very important role here. Okay, so that's why that's the one of the things that we really need. Marketing is another thing. Of course, now ni macam-macam jenis marketing. You cannot just follow the traditional one. The social media also play a very important role to assist the SEO, things like that. So that we are easily, they can find us easily. Okay. And other than that, I think we have to do, well, my aspiration, we do a lot of what else, research, basically to help the worker, help the employer, to ensure that occupational health is not a checkbox. Instead, it's a business strategy for the employer, so that they can improve their productivity and, of course, the bottom line, increase their profitability by adapting occupational health in their organization.
Healthy workers, happy workers, and definitely happy employers. So we're going to take another break on that note. Kita akan berehat seketika dan sekembali nanti kita akan melihat hal 7 perkembangan berkat OSH bergerak ke hadapan. Apakah langkah-langkah untuk membolehkan perniagaan seumpama ini berkembang lebih luas dan mencakupi pasaran yang lebih besar. Kita kembali bersama Dr. Sabariah sebentar lagi. Kembali bersama kami dalam We Hear You, dan dalam segmen terakhir ini kita akan melihat hala 7 baru untuk berkat OSH Services dan juga apakah inspirasi Dr. Sabariah untuk semua penggiat di luar sana yang mungkin ingin menceburkan diri dalam bidang ini. Pertama sekali, Doktor, what are your plans for the future? We have, 32 million Malaysians. I maybe assume half are in the workforce. So that's not a very large market, but we have a larger market out there in ASEAN. What are your plans for expansion?
First and foremost, we want to strengthen our position in our home country. Okay, in Malaysia, we want to be the number one for occupational health services. Okay, because that's why I want to complete. I want to complete our ecosystem. So we have our clinics, we have our rehab, and next, we want to be a hospital.
Wow.
InsyaAllah. Okay. Industry based. Okay. So that we, if they have any problem with industry related, with employees, so we are there to serve them.
This would be like a dedicated hospital to occupational safety and health?
Part of it. Okay. Because we have our call center. My aspiration is actually, as the call center, the best is to have the call center at the hospital where we can easily get the specialists to assist if there is any problem at the remote locations. Okay. Next is actually to move outside Malaysia. We're already in Brunei. Okay, at this point in time, okay, we are already in Brunei, but we can see that the potential is there in ASEAN region, because I think we talk about OSHA, about the safety, health, occupational safety and health. Every other country would want to take care of their own people, of the workers. So there is a potential in this field as well outside Malaysia. Especially in oil and gas, of course, because I think for the oil and gas, how they handle things are similar, whether it's in Malaysia or it's outside Malaysia, more or less similar. So they put safety as their priority, and safety of the workers, also about healthcare of the workers, caring about the worker in terms of their health. So basically, those are the things that we would like to do. We want to do it, in fact, moving towards that. And of course, for our occupational health clinics, it's not just we are concentrated in Kuala Lumpur. We have about 3 in Kuala Lumpur. We have 1 in Kulim. We want to be present in most industrial park in Malaysia, so that employee can come to us and we can provide the service immediately to them.
When it comes to foreign markets, do you see any potential out there in our ASEAN neighbors?
Yes, we do. In fact, we have we have received invitation outside Malaysia, but we want to strengthen ourselves. Once we are ready, then we will participate and hopefully able to get some contracts outside Malaysia, because I think ASEAN is of course our priority, but other than that, we also receive invitation from African countries.
Wow.
But we have to strengthen ourselves in Malaysia first, our footage.
Congratulations.
In Malaysia.
That's amazing. I mean, when we look at your business, the traditional model of scaling a business does not apply to your business. It's very different. The way you scale your presence in high-tech parks, your clinics, and your infrastructure, your entire ecosystem is different from any other business out there because of the way your business operates. So what are the skill sets that you personally have acquired along your journey that you'd like to share?
Okay, technical is one. Technical is about clinical skill. Okay, I have to make sure that I am equipped with knowledge when I give advice to my clients. Similar with my other doctors. Actually, quite a number of us are health advisors as well, just like me. Next is about other knowledge, the business knowledge of it. So I have to attend courses in finance, for example, in healthcare strategy, healthcare economy, digital healthcare is another thing. So to keep abreast with the current one, with the new knowledge. And now I think digital is very, very important because that's data, also about data. So in fact, we have our innovation and digital health, which is called Fit Data, where we actually assess and study the numbers of employees with whatever disease, and data is very important. Whatever you tell people is data driven, actually is very supportive of whatever decision that you made. It's always database. So I have to keep up with technology. I have to keep up with digital. Now we talk about AI. AI is about artificial intelligence. So from human learning to machine learning. So that is also very important in healthcare. So that we are able to give better services to our clients, to our patients.
What is the future of your industry like in your capacity of CEO right now? When you look out to the horizon and businesses like yours are always going to be present, but how will they evolve?
The future is great in this field. Okay, occupational health, yes, because the awareness is there. Used to be oil and gas. They are very aware about the occupational health, about safety, things like that. But now I can see not only in oil and gas, in other industry as well. Number one. Number two, it's mandatory requirement. Okay, so that is also good because it's mandatory requirement. They have to comply, and they will be looking for service provider, and we are there for them to support them. And I think for the doctors, this is a career path for them. So not only become a clinician in the hospital, but they can also help in another way by doing industrial health. And we have to understand what you are doing and give good advice to the employers and employees, and they appreciate that very much actually.
So this is very awesome for anyone out there who's looking at a slightly different kind of business, and you're already in healthcare. You're a doctor or someone in the healthcare industry. What is your advice for any young entrepreneur or individual who would like to pursue the same strategy that you have done with your business and start something in Osh?
Go for it. Go for it. I mean, we are needed. Our service is needed, especially now. The current one, okay, it's about a lot of people are talking about mental health. We do have this issue. This is very valid. Okay, so they need support. Okay, psychiatrists, psychologists. There's one group of people, but we are. I would say we are the bridge between employer and employee. So we help the employees and as well as the employers. So one is about mental health. The other one is also about economic. So again, DOSH is promoting these two entities so that employees are taken care of, especially for the economy. A lot of people complain of back problem, one of the common issue, back problem. And somehow it happens post-COVID, okay? Sharp rise in all these cases. Then partly during COVID, because a lot of people actually work from home, and the chairs are they're probably having meeting, doing their work on the dining chair, which may not be suitable as compared to office chair. So we've seen cases actually. Some even have to go for surgery due to this. And of course, mental health again is something that we need to address, not only in Malaysia but elsewhere. So occupational health, because we take care of workers, we are the front line. When the worker come to the occupation, then we refer to the expert to manage them. But it is always, as I mentioned, it's a strategic business strategy to have occupational health in their organization to help assess and address this issue early, so that hopefully we can prevent complication and the worker can work longer in any organization.
As far as ideas, insights, and inspirations go, I think we have hit the creme de la creme here. This is a very different business setup, something that is unique in terms of aspiration and also the requirements. But more importantly, it is a service that actually helps workers, which is a very big service that helps most of the working Malaysians out there. So if you're looking at an industry to jump on board with, this is definitely something for the future. We thank you, Doctor, for joining us here today. And thank you for the service that you provide, because you're indirectly taking care of people like us who go out there every day and live it.
Please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Dr. Sabaria. Dan dengan itu adalah satu lagi temu bual istimewa yang kita bawakan kepada anda menerusi We Hear You. Terima kasih kerana terus menyokong kami. Terima kasih kerana komen dan terima kasih kerana terus memberikan sokongan terhadap podcast ini di mana sahaja ia berada. Jadi kita ucapkan terima kasih kepada semua penonton. Kita akan kembali dengan episod yang seterusnya pada minggu hadapan.